In this video, we will learn how to create a basic if statement in Excel. Now, if is very useful because it allows you to compare two things and then return a value based on whether that comparison is either true or false. Now, a lot of people get scared by if statements because when you look at the formulae, it looks a bit complicated because there's lots of parts to it, but it's actually a lot simpler than it looks. And I've actually put here the structure of an if statement. So you're going to have if and then brackets. And then there are three elements which are separated by commas. So the first is the test. So what is it you're checking? The next part after the comma is what will you return if the test is true? And then the third part after the comma is what do you return if the test is false? So to show how this works, I've got a series of numbers and I'm going to carry out three different tests using three different if statements. My first test is the number equal to 0? So the way that you would construct this is you type in equals, if, and then open brackets. Now you'll see you have this little kind of drop down hint that tells you what the structure is. So if you don't remember it, that gives you a clue. So it says the logical test, comma, the value of true, comma, the value of false. So my logical test, I'm going to click on the cell that I want to compare. So in this case it's C5. And I'm going to do equals 0. So if the value in C5 is equal to 0, and I want to report, let's say I'm going to have yes. So I put inverted commas and the word yes. If the value isn't equal to 0, then I want to return no. So we've got if the test is C5 is equal to 0. If it is true, then return yes. If it isn't true, if it's false, then return no. So for my first example, it has correctly returned a no. Now if I drag this bottom corner down so it applies that formula to all of the other cells, you'll see that it is correctly identified no for all of the numbers apart from my 0 where it has returned a yes. Now I'm going to do a similar thing here, but I'm going to test is something negative. So equals if. Now my logical test this time is that less than 0? That's the way of testing if it's negative. So the less than symbol is used here. And again, rather than me returning yes and no, I'm going to return a 1 if it is negative and a 0 if it's not. So it's just using ones and zeros, which is something else that you may do. And you can see it's correctly identified the 3 that are negative with ones and the ones that are positives with 0. In my third column, I want to work out is something greater than 10. So equals if, I click on the number that I'm comparing, and what I'm going to do this time is do the greater than symbol, followed by the equals. So if it's greater than or equals to 10, then I will return a 1. If not, I will return a 0. And I'll just align those in the center. So you can see there it's correctly identified the 11, the 39, and the 45 and the 16 are greater than 10. So that's three very simple examples of using if statements to do some sort of basic analysis.